So, I just had a gruesome, terrifying, grotesque, disgusting, horrible experience. Chipotle ran out of their barbacoa shredded meat. I mean, seriously, how do they have the guts to do something like that to someone as innocent as me? I mean, do you think I really deserve to have that kind of gratification ripped away from me? God. Oh yeah, and I saw the Purge 2, Anarchy. So I went into this movie hoping to experience an awesome, intense...
Excuse me!
Yes?
Are there gonna be spoilers in this video?
Duh. So I went into this movie hoping to experience an awesome, intense, thrilling, immersive experience that expanded on the mythos of the first film. And I walked out of the theater thinking, because I did somewhat enjoy it, but here are my vital signs on what it was like watching it. Boop. 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 Because it still had that snail's pace that the first film had, but there were enough exciting moments to keep me intrigued in actually watching the film. Because it still had that snail's pace that the first film had, but there were enough exciting moments to keep me intrigued in actually watching the film. The biggest trope that really got me intrigued this time was the fact that the action took place on the streets this time instead of in somebody's house. Which was something I was really disappointed in when seeing the first movie, was that it took place in said plot element. House. That being said, here's why I liked The Purge Anarchy more than the first film. Mind you, both movies have their ups and downs. The first just has a lot more downs than the second one, in my opinion. First off, something that's already been said. Setting. The first Purge movie was limited by its setting. The house of the main characters and their family was where everything took place. The action was very slow and almost boring because the location limited where all the action was happening. Now, I'll give the movie producers credit for showing the audience members mercy for having such a small running time, but that still leaves no excuse why they couldn't expand on the setting a little bit. Maybe have some of the action take place in the streets as the action intensified, or change the climax. I mean, for crying out loud, even the climax takes place in the house. Now, there is a positive thought in this, because the first one was more of a horror thriller film than the second one, which was just all-out action, which I can understand, because a limited location gives you a little claustrophobic, kind of a horror sense to the feel, and really changes the mood of how everything happens. I'll just give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that the money for their budget came from Ethan Hawke's earnings on Getaway. Whoops! Did I just say that out loud?
I think you did.
Second and last but not least, plot. The sequels was so much more elaborate. You've got a couple whose car breaks down in the evening hours before the purge commences, a divorced father who is seeking revenge on his son's killer a year earlier, and a mother and her daughter whom just want to survive the night. The first movie, Ethan Hawke doesn't team up with Denzel Washington. He doesn't start a secret society dedicated to dead romantics. He marries a Lannister, have a goofy-haired she-male for a son, and a daughter who somehow makes a school outfit look more erotic than a Playboy bunny wearing it. The fan fictions are already being posted. We are already at cheesy level Gorgonzola. Here's what happens. They let a homeless guy into their home, Discount Heath Ledger comes up asking for him back so his group can kill him, and creepy stuff happens. It goes nowhere. Really, it doesn't. The family decides they'll hunt the homeless guy down, and that happens for a while. And then there's a big shootout. End of movie. Well, except for this.
Did you hear what I said? No more killing tonight!
That was awesome. Overall, the second movie was okay. It definitely expanded on the universe of the first film, but still came up short. Not sure if it's because the movie was playing it safe, which I can understand. We live in a society where gratuitous violence can have drastic consequences, media glorifying school shootings and whatnot, but hear me out. Here's why I think the movie works with its theme. There's the character of Sergeant Leo Barnes. He's the one who's after a man who killed his son in a drunk accident a year before. His story arc is the last one to be solved in the film. He arrives at the house where the man he plans to kill lives. Of course, he sneaks in, he attacks the man and his wife who are sleeping, and then nothing happens until he exits the house. Of course, he's covered in blood, and we're supposed to imply that he did it. He killed the guy, end of story. Just then, boom, he gets shot by a guy that we had thought he had killed previously in the night. Leo gets incapacitated, this guy walks over, holds a gun to his head, and he pulls off cliche number 417. He makes a victorious speech before he kills him. This gives some unknown assailant off-screen time to kill the guy that has a gun pulled on Leo's head. Camera pans, we think it's one of the main characters that he had helped previously in the night, but no, it turns out it's the guy that Leo wanted to kill, and he ended up sparing him. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. This guy and two other main characters take Leo to the hospital and end of film. It's a bit cheesy and kind of a little too happy of an ending for a gritty movie like this. It didn't have the dark and twisted ending that the first film had, which I was kind of expecting, but I actually was relieved that it didn't happen. I see a reason why the movie makers played it safe with this one. Maybe gritty violence isn't as entertaining as we had thought. This movie doesn't avoid it entirely though, it's still got its dark moments. But thankfully, it had a decent enough story to distract me as an audience member from the gritty random acts of violence surrounding our protagonists. This in turn results in a happy ending for a majority of our main characters. While I didn't enjoy this film entirely, it still had its good moments, and it definitely expanded on this mysterious event surrounding the movies called The Purge. I give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Nope. Right on time. If you'll excuse me, I have to check all the steel barriers on my windows, make sure all my doors are locked, and get Mr. Tinkles in from his wee-wee session. Thanks for watching, guys. I am Echo Grande, and I am signing off.